next task is we need to create a geometry that we can use to deform the terrain, right? This one will be used as your water surface, right? So let's rename this to water surface, and then we're gonna copy and paste this, and we're gonna name this projection geo, and let's replace the surface type to rows, columns, and just give it something like 6. Yeah, 6 columns should be fine. All right, we can adjust that later. And then I'm gonna say orientation along curve, right? So I want to essentially calculate the normals. We might use those later, might not, but it's good to have this in place anyway. And next we're gonna we want to grab the outer edges, the outer curves, essentially the edges, and snap those to the landscape. All right, so let me just create a null node here and call it heightfield reference if you want. I'm gonna give it a color of red. Here I'm gonna say ray. I'm gonna use the ray node to ray trace, and we're gonna grab the height field as our collision group. So I'm gonna say height field reference. I'm gonna set this to projection rays minimum distance, and I'm gonna use group 0 and group 6. Nope, not here, but group 0 and group 6. So this is what we get. As you can see, the edges snaps to landscape, and you can already see where we are going with this, right? It starts to become quite obvious what we are trying to build here. So with that in place, let's see if there is any smoothing we should think about. Okay, like maybe you see there is like this. This can be a problem. Yeah, this one can be a problem. So you can just maybe smooth those, at least for 0 and 6, right? Not too much, just a little bit. We can apply before that smoothing to everyone else, to every other curve, just a little bit. We need to be careful with this one. Yeah, because you don't want to mess up the cascades. So just gonna keep this low for now. Okay. Right. Just a little bit. So with this one in place, we can now like select we can select the inner curves and give this river some depth. Okay, so let's say, for example, we're gonna select, let's say, transform. We're gonna give this some depth, but only for group 1, I mean group 2 and group 4. Okay, not too much, maybe 0.5. As you can see what's happening. And then for the one in the middle, I can give it a depth of 0.75. Now let's see what we got here. Obviously don't want too much difference, but yeah, let's see. Okay, maybe this is fine. Yeah, should be fine. So I'm gonna use now a skin node, right? Let me just disable this. So we have a skin node. And as you can see, we started to get somewhere with this. I'm gonna say preserve shape. And yeah, regarding the resolution, let's see. Maybe I can say resample here, but you might want to be careful with this one. One, okay, see. Two, one, yeah, guess this is about right. 1.5. Yeah, the thing I wanted, like if I change this here, I might need to change it in the water surface too. So yeah, I'm gonna just set one, just this one here too. Yeah, let me just make sure we don't mess up the water cascades too much. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll not use this, and instead here what I will do is use some let's say some remesh. This might take some time to process, so this is why I think I'm gonna just cancel this using escape and just set the target site to something like 2, then maybe something like 1. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this can be fine. Yeah, we can use this. Don't need more resolution than this, to be honest. I'm gonna set the smoothing iteration to just be 1. Maybe that helps to reduce the processing time. Do not want to compute normals. Okay. Next step, we're gonna say normal. Then gonna set it the angle here to all the way, right? So we get some smooth looking here. Let's see what else we can do here to get rid of these kind of issues. All right. Can try fuse 0 and 6. Doesn't look like this has any effect. Let's see. Yeah, if I can just copy the previous resample we had here and just slightly increase this length parameter just a little bit, could give us something useful. Okay. We need to make sure we don't change the cascade part too much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a good idea. I mean, I'll figure something out. Maybe this should be fine. maybe even those small issues here will be fine. So what we're gonna do next is use mountain noise node to apply some noise here, some noise. Let's say mountain. Okay. Then make sure set it something. Let's see. I don't want to recompute the normals. Now let's see. Gonna increase the element, decrease the element size first. Just some small noise. I might want to set the target size to be 0.5, so we have more polys to deal with. Or maybe even a better idea, I can just maybe ignore that remesh thing and use subdivide. Okay, you can just use the subdivide thing. Even though this is not ideal, but you know. That should be fine. Make sure this is not way too much, right? Gonna move the normal here. Just try. Can use the first noise to be something like this, right? So we do big breakups. And then the next noise can be, you can add some offset and then small breakups like this. So let's delete this one. Okay, now we have this. Make sure you always save. And with all of these in place, you can always come back, adjust the depth a little bit. Okay. Now this needs to be, and just add this here. And here we can just add like an offset. Okay. Zero 175. Let's template this part. Let's see what we got. Okay. Yeah, this kind of issues that we see here. Let's see. Yeah. It is because when something is outside of the bounds, it just snaps to the zero location, I guess. So is there any parameter here that help us deal with this? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fine. You want to replace this with something custom, I guess. Yeah, I guess we will do that. Okay, yeah, we will replace this with something else. So this kind of issues we don't get. Or what you can do is just make sure the curve is not way too far from the height field bounds. Okay, so we can actually do that. Adjust our curve, enable our height field, go to our top viewport and just move it somewhere here. Okay, just somewhere here. At later on I will most likely replace this node with something else using attribute VOP or something. Okay, now let's look at what we got. And we have this. Let me just disable this terrain thing and gonna template this to see what we got. You can always apply a transform here. Alright, so we control the depth of the water surface. Maybe, yeah, something like this maybe would be fine. And as you can see, we started to get somewhere already. Alright, there is still few additional steps we need to do, but yeah. And as you can see, we have your canyon, and you know, the river width in this area is much smaller compared to the rest. You can keep in mind, like, you can always if you want, you can use the edges group here to push it outward more, so you increase the how much the river influence the terrain, right? We can add that later, but for now let's deal with the height field part. So I'm gonna say height field project. I'm gonna use the terrain reference here and project this to be minimum. Okay, something like this. I'm gonna say replace, and what else? Okay, this should be fine. So let's see, you can set this 0, 1 if you want. So here you have our water cascades, looks correct. Looks correct. Oops. And here in the higher ground, have this look. So yeah, I guess everything looks fine. We have few steps we will add, right? And probably we'll add one additional control over the river edges and then move to Unreal.